So as many of you might know, right, it is taboo in the VTuber scene to talk about someone's past life. Now, if you don't know that, well, you just found out thanks to my very, very awesome explanation, or horrible, depending on if you like me or not. Here's the thing though, right? You know, Dexerto, it's a news website that basically does a lot of things that people tend to dislike in general because they like either report on things without any moral like guidelines or standards, and or some things are just absolutely factually incorrect. They made a tweet actually recently, I think it was yesterday, on a VTuber who they allege now has a new life, which again is a big no-no in the VTubing community. And so this is what that tweet looked like. Now, I'm not saying what Dexerto is saying is absolutely correct here. I'm just looking at the tweet and, you know, trying to break down what has made people upset about it and maybe give you guys new insight on what my thoughts are on what Dexerto decided to freaking tweet. So here is that tweet. It says, the VTuber once known as Gargura has revealed her new character, Saba. Her debut stream as the new VTuber had almost 200,000 live viewers. Now, if you guys know me, I watched this entire thing happen live. Like, I watched Saba's debut. She felt cool. She looked cool. You know, it just seemed like a brand new cool VTuber. I really enjoyed it to a certain degree. It's not something for me. I'm never going to really watch the content because like I don't really watch VTubers a lot in general, unless you guys send me clips, and that's just how it's always been here on the channel, right? But I, you know, from the outside looking into this right now, let's say, right, I don't know, who this Saba person is, right? Like, I don't. And like, for a company like Dexerto to sit there and, claim or say that Saba used to be Gargura, even if that were true, it's not something that you normally would do in the VTuber space, because VTubers are well known for trying to keep their lives a little separate, right? When a VTuber moves on to a new organization, normally it is taboo, or people just generally don't really talk about it unless that VTuber wants to be talked about in general. And seeing as Gargura was part of a, corporate VTubing agency, if they were to go ahead and have a new life, then it would technically be against the rules of that organization for them to start a new life and talk about their past life, I think, if I'm explaining this correctly and you guys understand. So essentially speaking, what Dexerto did here pissed off a lot of people in the VTuber community, and I do mean a lot of people, right? There are several people who quote retweeted the tweets, and let's just say that not many of them were happy in general. Finding ones that were like very, very safe to show on stream actually really, really difficult, because a lot of people unfortunately took this as a time to not focus on the fact that they were essentially, quote unquote, maybe doxing a VTuber, but instead were focused on the fact that Gargura's models, and maybe the Saba person, if they are the same person, essentially they focused on the fact that like the model was childlike in nature and they weren't necessarily happy about how that looked, which is a completely different issue that I don't really want to get into, because it's not my place to really talk about that. I don't really care for the most part. Again, you like what you like, you watch what you watch. It's just not my thing. I don't really consume VTubers unless you guys send me clips of VTubers. That's just how it always has been. That's just how it will forever be here on my stream. So a lot of people were, again, really upset over the childlike nature of the model. However, there are a few people in the VTuber community who, I'm struggling to find these tweets now, but essentially they were saying that they definitely did not like the fact that Dexerto was out here talking about this new personality or this new life for the VTuber formerly known as Gargura. And actually, I think I might have found one just now. And this is a tweet from post deleted. Okay, well, the post was deleted. Never mind. There was another tweet from another indie VTuber, which I cannot find now because I guess they deleted the tweet. So I don't really have a verifiable source anymore for this. But essentially, the indie VTuber said that it might be taboo, but if they were a brand new, or if they were creating a brand new personality, they would want to connect it to their old personality because they would want people to be able to find them. So essentially what Dexerto is doing in the weirdest way possible, and a lot of people might not agree with this, is with Dexerto making this tweet connecting the two brands, if they are the same person, they are essentially giving this person free promotion for their new brand, which could only help them gain more success, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But also we have to keep in mind, we don't know what this Saba or Gargura person want. We don't know what they're thinking in their head. We don't know if they dislike this or if they, want the attention and want people to find them, right? Like, because we're not that person. So on the off chance that this Saba / Gargura person, they are the same person, they wanted that attention, this is a good thing for them because now they can have their old viewers find out who they are. Now, on the other hand, if they definitely did not want to connect these brands whatsoever, then this obviously still is a bad thing, because if we go back to what I said at the start, it is still bad in general to connect old VTuber personalities to new ones, especially if you do not have the consent or the nature or from the VTuber themselves, right? Because like most VTubers just want to move on. Most VTubers just want to be considered a new person. And generally speaking, you know, not a lot of people in the VTuber community look at this and are happy about it. And rightfully so, because this is just supposed to be a new person. And it is unfortunate that a lot of people who are in the comments and stuff like that are like looking at this and thinking of completely different angles that are just unrelated. They don't like the way the model looks, or they're not very happy that like they think that Dexerto and the people who are interacting with the article are tourists in the VTuber space, which is another term that people use in the space to talk about people who don't necessarily know too much of what's going on. I mean, people have called me a tourist, right? They're like, you're not a VTuber, you shouldn't be talking about this stuff. But I've been in the industry and I know a lot more things than a lot of people ever care to imagine to know, right? So I know a lot of what's going on. And I just personally think that if Saba and Gargura are the same person, not saying that they are, if they were, I personally would not be upset that the brands are connected and I would get to keep an audience that I may or may not have had prior, right? That is my 2 cents on it. However, I will not now, nor have I ever, will connect two accounts that shouldn't be connected. I'm just simply here telling you what Dexerto did. So I hope at the end of this video you realize I'm not the person telling you this. I'm telling you what Dexerto said. I'm giving you my opinion on what has happened there. I'm sure people are going to be mad anyway, regardless, at me for talking about what Dexerto did, even though I'm not the one that did it. You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed my little piece on this. I just really wanted to talk about it because like it's a very confusing and weird situation in general, right? But yeah, I mean, I can't find any of the tweets that I was looking for earlier. I think the people just deleted them. And to be fair, I don't blame them because a lot of these tweets were, you know, being engaged with hate and stuff like that. So yeah, at the end of the day though, Dexerto did a bad thing. Woohoo, we don't like them. But also we don't know how Saba feels if they are this Gargura person. And yeah, I mean, it is taboo in general to do this stuff. And there's a whole article that Dexerto has on their website that goes a little bit more in depth on who they think Saba is. But I'm not gonna read that because we're not here to talk about that. And you guys can go read that for yourself if you care. See you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace out. Bye, YouTube. Taking a shit in a house this big feels great. It changes your life forever. Okay? Like I really don't. How else do I explain it? All right, I don't know what ply of toilet paper that was, but that was like the best fucking toilet paper I have used in a while, bro. That shit just hugged my ass so fucking well. I felt that shit. I put that shit in the crevices just now, and I felt like I was hugged. I felt like that was the first time in my life my ass got a hug. My ass was touched so well just now that I think from now on I want more hugs like that on my ass. I think that maybe the experience isn't. Hello.
Hi. Are you doing okay?
Yeah. Wow. What's up?
Yeah, I can see the mice in our room.
Oh yeah. I just finished taking a shit.
TMI.
What I was saying is, chat, I need to wash my hands. So hold on.